Xiao finds himself being beaten up for being a Rizzler by a bunch of jealous hooligans who are accusing him of stealing their boss's girl named Shen Yao. But before they can permanently change his face, he leaps into the water ready to meet his demise. However, he finds a super cube at the bottom of the water that gives him a cheat system, making him overpowered in real life. Ever since he was a little boy, people knew Xiao as the cool kid, until one day he cried in front of everyone, so they started making fun of him. His school friend, who is Shen Yao, saw him sulking outside after school, so she gave him some words of encouragement before patching up his wounds. Some days passed, and while she and Xiao were having a studying session, she received a phone call from an unknown caller telling her to escape because some questionable people have come to collect her. She finds herself still in the library, but in a different realm surrounded by men in suits, while all the other students seem to have disappeared. The mystery man on the phone guides her to a room where she is saved and teleported to his location. At this point, the girl is unconscious in his arms while he makes a run for it. He is pursued by the men who almost take him out with an energy gun, but he dodges with ease. The mystery man lands and places Shen Yao on the floor with a special watch that puts up a protective field around her. He then leaps down to engage with the bad men using his amazing agility and powers to take them out one by one. The men in black refuse to give up, so the fight takes to the sky, where he defeats 3 of them, leaving only one. The one left levitates an entire building apartment to launch at the mystery man while they both float in the air. But the savior breaks the building up into cubes before launching it at the bad guy and then teleporting him into a special dimension. Meanwhile, the watch that was protecting Shen Yao moves backwards, and she finds herself back in the library asleep. Xiao wakes her up, and they continue with their studying. But the watch she was given is seen on the table. After some years pass by, Xiao is getting his ass whooped because Shen Yao finally confessed her feelings to him while they were chilling with friends. A guy named Sun Jun, who is the leader of the North City gang and an admirer of Shen Yao, heard about this, so he decided to teach Xiao a lesson with fists. His underlings beat up Xiao near a water bridge for stealing his girl. Sun Jun FaceTimes Shen Yao using Xiao's phone to show her the consequences of other men getting involved with her. The girl has no feelings for the hooligan, and it turns out that Sun Jun is someone who actually pesters Shen Yao like a weirdo stalker. She screams in the background for them to let Xiao go while they beat him up. Xiao refuses to acknowledge that Sun Jun deserves a girl like Shen Yao, so he headbutts one of the guys and leaps into the water to escape. The leader runs over the edge in disbelief, but then drops Xiao's phone into the water. They start to panic and scream for him to stop playing around and emerge from the water. Meanwhile, Xiao sinks in deeper and deeper, thinking how much of a useless loser he is for not being able to protect the girl he loves. While in his despair, ready for death to snatch his ass,
Gotcha, bitch.
He spots a shining object at the bottom, so he goes to investigate and sees a cube. But when he picks it up, the cube enters him and begins to burn up his body. He suddenly finds himself inside a cosmic cube, so he thinks he has been captured by aliens. A voice addresses him, informing him that he can teleport himself outside of the water within a 15-meter radius centered around the cube. But before Xiao can process what is happening, he is teleported right above the water in the air. He panics for a moment, thinking that he will fall to his death. However, he floats instead. He notices the hooligans looking for him. Sun Jun yells, saying that no one is going home until they find Xiao. Sun Jun feels a presence and looks up, but he sees nothing because Xiao has been teleported to one of his classrooms. He is very confused and asks himself many questions, but he is freaked out when a voice only he can hear tells him that it is inside of him. He is transported to his room before he is spotted by a guard. After cleaning himself up, he gets a phone call from Shen Yao, who is worried since she saw him fall into the water. She thought he was dead and is glad that he is safe and well in his room. She suggests that they should report this to the police because Sun Jun and his backup dancers have taken it too far this time. But Xiao tells her to chill for now and not to worry. He tells her to get some sleep since it is late before cutting the call. He didn't tell her what really happened and doesn't think anyone would even believe him if he told them. Now that he is alone, the cube begins conversation with him, so he demands to know what is going on. A light glows from within him, and the cube comes out of his body before Xiao is sent inside of it. When inside, he complains about the pain of the process on entering the cube. It informs him that now that it has a secure connection with his body, he has been appointed as the user of a special artifact known as the Herodric Cube, which is the ultimate universe system. It explains that although its physical manifestation in the world is only a tiny little cube, inside is quite vast. Xiao wants to know why it is helping him, so it responds saying that it is there to aid him in achieving his wish of being the king of the world. Xiao decides to practice his teleportation skills, but his energy has depleted, so the cube lets him know that there will be a 1-minute interval before he can utilize that skill again. He sits at a rooftop and asks the cube how he can precisely choose where to spontaneously relocate himself. It tells him that he needs to utilize a skill known as microwave radiation, which will help him sense everything within the teleportation field. It advises him not to rely on his eyes, but should instead use his core. The guy gives it a try and can sense and see every single detail within the radius. He is returned to the cube and falls to his knees from expending too much energy after overusing his teleportation and sensory abilities. He soon collapses from absolute exhaustion, so the cube sends him back to his room to rest. Xiao notes that using this power isn't easy on his body. He looks to his side and sees the box next to him, so he freaks out wondering where it came from. The box notifies him that it continuously consumes his energy while occupying his body, so to save what small energy he has left, it has temporarily exited its host, because if Xiao passes away, the cube will also disappear. Xiao just cannot believe that he is now a superhuman. The guy goes on the internet to see if he would be able to find any information regarding a super system, but he finds nothing. He asks the system who created it, but it doesn't know. He is a bit frustrated with the lack of answers about his situation, but he becomes cheerful when Shen Yao texts him for them to have lunch together. He remembers that as long as Sun Jun and his gang are around, he will find it difficult to protect Shen Yao. In his efforts to get stronger, he asks the cube how he can increase his energy levels and gain enough power using his newfound abilities. The cube tells him that all he needs to do is find and absorb energy gems to get stronger. The system has an inbuilt automatic leveling system which increases his power. Although regular stones have energy to aid in his leveling up, the increase in strength is so incremental that it wouldn't aid in the type of might he is looking to achieve. The cube notifies him that for him to be able to unleash his ultimate abilities, he needs to obtain special gems. It scans the house and brings his attention to his mother's diamond ring and his father's prismatite stone as examples of what don't contain energy force. However, it spots a gem in the garden downstairs that contains a decent amount of energy, so Xiao prepares himself and heads down to do some digging. He remembers the cube's reason for helping him, but Xiao has no interest in being the king of the world. All he aims to do is to gain enough power to protect Shen Yao. Xiao uses his microwave ability to scan the garden, and he spots it glowing right next to a tree. After digging it up, he is not so impressed with it. The cube confirms that although it is a basic gem, it can be used as an upgrade. It instructs him to enter the space cube and feed the gem into the mouth of the system. Electrical energy begins to pulsate around him. He then starts to glow up. The basic gem has added 2 points to his strength and increased his endurance by 1 point. All of this translate to real life, so his combat abilities have also received a boost. Xiao wakes up late the next morning, still exhausted from all the antics the previous night. He rushes to school and is scolded by Shen Yao for hanging up the phone on her yesterday. His friends make fun of her for confessing her feelings while they were hanging out, but their laughter is halted when Sun Jun and his posse come into the class looking for the Rizzler. They ruffle up some poor kid before asking for the whereabout of Xiao. The guy has hidden himself behind a book from the gang, but Sun Jun seems to have spotted him and makes his way to him. Xiao asks the system if the power-up he received yesterday is enough to handle the hooligans. The cube responds by saying that his combat power level is 22, while the average combat level of the gang is 5. Shen Yao gets up and tells Sun Jun to leave them alone, but the gang leader is so deluded that he thinks Xiao is using her to protect himself like a coward. But she tells him to leave right away because Xiao is a real man. Xiao stands up and tells her to leave it all to him. Sun Jun becomes irritated by the sight of him, so he grabs the guy's shirt to ruffle him up. However, Xiao stands his ground and tightly holds the leader's hand. Sun Jun cannot believe how much stronger Xiao has become. Fortunately, the teacher enters and puts an end to their squabbling. The leader whispers to the lad to meet him at the basketball court later at 5 p.m. if he doesn't want Shen Yao to be involved in this. They leave the classroom, and the leader waits in the equipment room annoyed by what Xiao did to him in front of everyone. The time comes and Xiao the Rizzler enters the indoor basketball court to meet 13 members of the North City gang. Their leader orders them to close the doors because he doesn't intend on allowing the Rizzler to escape today. Looking at the situation, the system notifies him that he has a 20% chance of winning if they all fight him together. Sun Jun confronts him and says that all he wants Xiao to do is promise that he will stop seeing Shen Yao. He also wants the lad to kneel and apologize. However, Xiao aggravates him by calling him out on not being a good role model for his underlings. Since he doesn't even want to fight one-on-one, he even adds more source when he tells the hooligan that he went easy on him earlier that morning in class. At this point, Sun Jun is furious, and it looks like Xiao's plan is working. But one of the gang members from the back comes to the front and tells his master not to waste his time with trash, so he offers to fight against Xiao. It turns out that that guy is the strongest fighter in the group, but the cube informs Xiao not to be afraid because the guy's combat level is only 10. The bald man begins the duel by throwing a basketball which Xiao dodges. Baldy then swings many more punches, but they are all dodged and evaded. Meanwhile, Shen Yao senses that something is wrong because she calls Xiao, but he doesn't pick up, so she contacts the school superiors. Back at the court, the two men are still fighting, but the bald man has used too much of his energy. His frustration of not being able to land a hit increases, so he charges in, but Xiao catches his foot and lands a punch to the face before throwing him off to the side like trash, which knocks Baldy out. The gang cannot believe their eyes and question how this is even possible. They start to panic now that their strongest was easily defeated. Xiao calls out for the next opponent, but Sun Jun laughs out loud because his intention now is for them all to attack at once. The cube informs him that his new possibility of winning has increased to 30% now that Baldy has been taken care of. The gang chant and prepare to jump Xiao like the spineless cowards they are. They move forward and begin their assault, but Xiao is able to keep up thanks to the help of the system. He has beaten 2 of them for now, and since they are playing dirty, he decides to take a page out of their book. He approaches one of them and kicks him in the family jewels before launching him in the air using his foot. Sun Jun understands the importance of dealing with Xiao immediately, so he urges his men to go all out. Xiao utilizes the entirety of the court to get the upper hand, but they manage to land a few hits on him due to their overwhelming numbers. He gets up and is vexed by their unfair advantage, so he hands them a masterful beatdown. He grabs one of them by the legs and spins the guy around, and then throws him into the face of Sun Jun. By the time the leader recovers, he sees that Xiao has already taken out all of his men. It was at that moment he knew he messed with the wrong guy. Fear is written all over his face when Xiao begins to approach him. The system alerts Xiao that he is exhausted so he wouldn't be able to fight anymore. Sun Jun doesn't know this, so he screams in fear with snot running down his nose, begging Xiao not to approach him. The lights suddenly come on, and a rival gang from the south emerge making fun of Sun Jun and his North City gang for being weak for losing against a single rookie. The leader of the South City gang, named Huan, tells Sun Jun to leave the position of being boss of the city to him because Sun Jun is too weak to undertake that role. Xiao has had enough of the chatting and just wants to warn Sun Jun never to bother Shen Yao ever again. But Huan is offended that he opened his mouth and sees this as a good opportunity to show the leader of the North City gang how to properly distribute a beatdown. The system informs Xiao that he is in no position to fight, so it tells him to make a run for it. Huan and his gang chase him down. Since Xiao's cube is in the house and not inside of him, he cannot teleport outside the radius, so the system guides him to the edge of the teleportation zone where he teleports before they get him. Now that Xiao knows his range, he turns the lights off and uses his abilities to ambush them. By the time the lights come back on, the members of Huan's group have also been defeated. Sun Jun just looks on in disbelief and wonders if Xiao is still a human. People outside the gym door begin to bang on it, ordering those inside to open it up. Shen Yao has arrived with the higher-ups because she believes Xiao is trapped inside and might be in danger. Before they can open it, Xiao has an idea of how he can get out of this situation. He sees Sun Jun trying to escape, so he tells the hooligan to hold up. Sun Jun gets on his knees and aggressively bashes his face on the floor, begging for forgiveness. Xiao agrees to spare him if he promises to admit his faults to the administrators and turn over a new leaf. He also warns him to never bother Shen Yao ever again. When the door opens, they see the hooligan holding Xiao, and he pretends to punch him on the face to make it look like Sun Jun had a huge gang fight in the gym, while Xiao was an innocent passerby who got caught in the beef. After that ordeal, Xiao understands his limits and knows that he must obtain more gems so that he can be strong enough to protect the people he loves. So with that in mind, he embarks on trying to locate gems, but most of them in his city either belong to other people or they are too expensive for him to buy. Xiao then decides he will go on an adventure to the mountains near his home to look for the special stones. He even bought treasure hunting equipment to make the hunt easier, but he soon finds out that it will be a lot more difficult when some of the gems he has located are within places he cannot possibly access. He becomes frustrated when the final one he spots is 15 meters underground since he cannot dig that deep. However, the system tells him that where the gem is located is actually hollow, so he should be able to teleport inside. But when Xiao tries to teleport to the place of the stone, He is unable to do so. The cube alerts him that if a space is completely sealed without a minimum gap of at least 1 centimeter in diameter, he wouldn't be able to teleport inside. Xiao thinks hard, so he walks to a body of water and believes that if there is a gap inside, then some of the water will seep into the cave. He stands on the surface of the water and uses his microwave radiation to locate the opening, which allows him to teleport into the cave. He takes a few steps in front of him towards the gem's location, but the passageway to them is completely blocked, so he cannot teleport inside. In this moment, he feels defeated. However, a gentle breeze hits him, so he knows that there is a gap somewhere. So he uses the same technique to find the opening, and then teleports to the final destination of the gems. Unfortunately for him, the stones are dangling from the ceiling, so he ties himself to a rock to stop himself from falling into the water when trying to retrieve it. He can only use teleportation a number of times, therefore this rope method is his best bet of collecting all 12 gems to avoid experiencing death. While picking them, one of it falls into the water. He uses his microwave radiation to find out where it landed, but he instead senses a huge snake behind him. At his current level, there is no way for him to win, and when the monster attacks, he backs up over the edge, which results in him falling along with the snake. Although the rope stopped him from plunging into the water, it soon snaps and lands him inside of it. The monster wastes no time and goes straight for the attack, but Xiao manages to partially fend it off with his shovel. The snake is relentless and keeps on attacking, so Xiao teleports himself inside the cube to avoid death. Since he only managed to collect 11 out of the 12 stones, the system informs him that he is able to synthesize 3 gems to create a higher level gem. It enlightens him that there are 3 levels to the gems. These are elementary, intermediate, and advanced level. Elementary gems only increase attributes by a little. However, advanced level gems gives an incredible boost to attributes, and they even have the chance of unlocking special powers. Xiao is so excited to hear this, so he tells the cube to synthesize the gems. The system accepts his request and informs him that it will take 100 hours to get advanced level gems. Xiao is devastated to hear this, but the cube advises him to synthesize and then absorb the remaining 2 so that he can level up to defeat the giant snake. After the process of absorbing the 2 stones is completed, Xiao teleports out and is easily able to defeat the snake thanks to his increase in speed and spiritual attributes. Now that he has beaten it, he retrieves the final gem, which is also an elementary level stone, so he decides to absorb that one too. All the while, Sun Jun and Huan seem to have found some common ground in their defeat to Xiao, so they go to drink their sorrows away and plan to take revenge for what Xiao did to them. Sun Jun thinks he has lost his mind because even with 15+ people, they couldn't handle Xiao. The redhead proposes a suggestion to get a very dangerous someone known as Mr. Lu involved. That way they wouldn't have to directly take care of Xiao. Sun Jun believes that Huan has had too much happy juice because he is talking crazy to even consider such an idea. But the redhead feels like this is a good plan since he plans on tricking Mr. Lu to eliminate Xiao for them. Meanwhile, Shen Yao and Xiao go on a date, and as they walk through the park, she notices that the guy seems more confident and more mysterious. It looks like the system has also boosted his aura because he grabs hold of the girl's hand and tells her that he will protect her. They end up having fun doing various activities and eventually finish the day with some drinks while the sun sets. Even though she is fond of him, she thinks that he is hiding something from her. The system advises Xiao to come up with a convincing lie, but he rejects the suggestion because he thinks lying only makes things worse and will eventually get out of control. He doesn't tell her about the system or his powers, but he gives her a special stone he was planning to gift her later. He uses this as an excuse to why it seems like he is hiding something. The girl observes it and is amazed by how beautiful it appears. After the success of that date, they have planned a second one. Xiao calls her to find out where she is since it is unlike her to be late, but she doesn't pick up. He waits at their rendezvous point for a while, but she still hasn't turned up. He overhears 2 men talking about an incident that happened at an apartment block, which resulted in police being called. He puts 2 and 2 together and thinks that perhaps it involves Shen Yao, so he rushes over to her place and finds a large crowd outside with a huge police presence. He pushes himself to the front and overhears Shen Yao's mother crying and begging for the police officers to find her daughter. The incident has made its way to the news and most of the residents now know about this. Xiao stands there thinking deeply on who might be responsible for this. He catches Sun Jun within the crowd, so he decides to follow and ambush him. The hooligan walks down the street and makes a turn into an alleyway where he bumps into Xiao. He begins to get hostile until he sees that it is the Rizzler. He promptly apologizes. However, Xiao isn't there to play about and asks him why he seems so nervous. After a little intimidation, the coward capitulates and folds like an ironing board and tells him everything. He makes it clear that he had no hand in Juan's plan and refused to be on board after hearing it. He begins by saying that Juan got Mr. Lu to kidnap Shen Yao to get revenge on Xiao, but Xiao has never heard about this guy in his life. So Sun Jun gives a brief background on who Mr. Lu is. Sometime in the past, Lu had beaten up some guy, but the man didn't want to accept the humiliation, so he got his uncle, who has a very powerful background, involved. The man, his uncle, and a number of men made their way to deal with the guy. However, when they arrived and Uncle caught a glimpse of Mr. Lu, he slapped his nephew, and they both fell on their knees apologizing and begging for forgiveness. Even after Mr. Lu had left, they were still on their knees out of fear to get up for several hours. So because of this, that whole episode is known as the Kneeling in Crap Street incident. This is the type of influence Lu has, thanks to the powerful Yan family which he is a part of. Xiao thinks all that is nonsense, but he really wants to know how Shen Yao is even involved in all of this. It turns out that Lu is trying to lure out a man called Shigu Qin. This is the same man who saved Shen Yao from being abducted when she was a kid. Many people tried to find this mystery man, but he was untraceable. Mr. Lu encountered Shigu Qin and lost 2 of his fingers. His family did everything in their power to find the mystery man so they could avenge their family member, but even they couldn't locate him, and they eventually abandoned Lu. Ever since then, Lu has had intense hatred for Shigu Qin, right to his core, and his life mission is to get revenge. That is why Shen Yao was kidnapped, because Huan lied saying that she has some type of connection to Shigu Qin. After hearing all of that, Xiao still decides to go rescue Shen Yao. Elsewhere, Lu has Huan pleading for forgiveness after he got caught lying about Shigu Qin. The only reason why Lu even considered the plan is because he will latch onto anything that can bring his nemesis in front of him. The crazy guy is using Huan's mouth to hit his golf balls, and the redhead is so afraid that he has soiled himself. Just a close distance away, Shen Yao, who has been tied and gagged, hears the golf club connecting with Huan's face, which knocks him out cold. The girl is very frightened, so Yan makes his way over to her and demands that she tell him about her relationship with Shigu Qin, but she swears that she doesn't know who he is. He calls BS on what she is saying because no random person will risk their life to save just any girl. Lu becomes frustrated when she insists that she hasn't got a clue what he's talking about, so he prepares to swing punches at her. But his right-hand man, who is also his uncle, advises him to wait a minute. He says that if this girl is truly someone special to Shigu Qin, then it will be a huge mistake to lay a single finger on her, because if he eventually turns up, he might go crazy and unleash his true power. And despite the fact that Lu has hired a few powerful masters to destroy Shigu Qin if he arrives, it is better to be on the safe side and not harm the girl at all since they do not know what the mystery man is capable of. He suggests that they should spare Shen Yao's life and use her as leverage if things don't go according to their plan to get Mystery Man to surrender. Lu sees the sense in what his uncle is saying, so he orders him to seal her mouth. After the crazy guy walks away, the uncle tells the girl to just listen to them, otherwise he wouldn't be able to save her again if Lu loses his temper. Meanwhile, Xiao has found the location of Shen Yao thanks to the gem he gave her. As he approaches, the cube warns him that it has detected 7 formidable energy waves. He asks the system how long until the advanced level gems have finished synthesizing. It responds by saying there is approximately 30 minutes left. One of the bad guys spots him approaching and informs Lu, so the boss orders them to get rid of Xiao quickly before Shigu Qin arrives. Xiao arrives at the gate and is ready to break the lock to gain access to the top floor, but he is stopped by a burly man. The man advises him not to remove it because the door has been reinforced with a supernatural power that will give him issues like death. The system informs Xiao that the combat level of the man is 52, while his is 50. Xiao likes his chances, so the man takes him into a room for them to fight for the key. As all this is going on, Lu is broadcasting the events to Shen Yao, who is still tied up with a major concern look on her face. The big man towers over Xiao, and the fighting begins. He throws a punch, but the hero evades it and lands a kick to the face that doesn't even budge the man. Xiao knows this isn't going to be an easy fight, so he therefore needs to be cautious on how he uses teleportation since it has a cooldown period. The two of them continue to trade blows, and Xiao is impressed with how fast the man is for his size. The man is equally impressed by the kid's strength considering he's an amateur. He grabs Xiao by the hand and slams him into the ground, but the lad gets up before his face is stomped into the floor. The man then blows Xiao back with a hard punch that sends the kid flying back. However, Xiao refuses to give up and lands a kick that sends the man jetting into a wall. At this point, Big Man has lost composure and begins spamming heavy punches which the kid dodges. The lad finds an opening and teleports a hammer into his hands, which he uses to connect to the man's face, which sends him flying into a pillar with force and knocks him out. Xiao does some trash talking before recovering the key. After getting past the door, he runs up the stairs where he is met by the next opponent with a kick to the face which almost sends him falling all the way down, but he manages to hold on. His new opponent, who is named Chad Lee, finds it hard to believe his comrade fell to such a weak-looking kid. The guy allows Xiao to recover so that they can take the fight upstairs. The cube informs him that the guy has a fighting level of 75, and Xiao cannot comprehend how a weak-looking man could be so strong, so he runs upstairs with frustration, swearing to take Chad Lee out. But when he arrives, the room is completely dark with Chad Lee nowhere to be found. Chad Lee is a fighter who was trained in total darkness by his master. He was thrown into a dark room with many creatures and was given only a dagger to defend himself. The harsh environment allowed him to discover his hidden abilities, which lets him locate things by sound, and that is why he fights enemies in the dark. He tries to take Xiao by surprise, but the lad senses him coming so he avoids, and they throw hands. When Xiao lands a kick to his face, Chad Lee thinks it was a fluke because the kid shouldn't be able to see him. Xiao aggravates his opponent by asking him if this is all he has to offer, so Chad Lee retreats for now and attempts another ambush, but little does he know that Xiao can see in the dark using his microwave radiation. When Chad Lee comes in full force, he is met with a Will Smith special slap to the face. The guy cannot believe this, so he intensifies his speed and bounces off the walls and manages to land some strikes. However, when he comes in for the finishing blow, Xiao summons a baseball bat and hits Chad Lee in the family jewels, which I'm sure will even take down Thanos. The lad progresses up the floor and is met by an old man named Beowulf, who is very impressed that Xiao was able to body such opponents alone. However, Xiao doesn't want any praise from the man and goes straight for the attack with the bat that popped Chad Lee's balls, but Beowulf blocks it with one hand and then slams the kid to the floor. The system reminds him that there is 1 minute for the advanced level gems to synthesize. This is good news to Xiao, so his plan is to hold off the old man for 1 minute. But before he can even gather himself to think of a plan, Beowulf gets him in a deadly chokehold which will soon put him to sleep. Xiao, however, summons a kunai and frees himself. Beowulf isn't pleased with his dirty tricks and promises to show the lad a lesson. Xiao isn't into this motivational talk, so he launches a punch towards the old man's core. But the senior citizen has those iron abs which results in Xiao's hands taking all the damage. The pensioner then begins his assault, showcasing his immense power. Xiao attempts to fight back, but he is no match. His shoulder even gets dislocated by Beowulf before getting pinned to a concrete pillar. The senior citizen then charges up a punch and hits Xiao in the face, which also destroys the pillar. The lad lies on the floor unconscious, and just as Beowulf declares victory, the system begins the merging process of the gems with Xiao. After completion, the kid has had a huge upgrade in overall power and strength. Beowulf is glad to see him back on his feet. Xiao puts an end to the talking and begins his assault, which the old man has no response to. Beowulf cannot believe that a C-rank warrior like him is about to be defeated by the likes of a rookie. Xiao lands the finishing strike, which is witnessed by Shen Yao and Lu. Lu is completely livid that his 3 combatants have been taken out by an ordinary kid. The uncle tells him to calm down because the next opponents will definitely apprehend Xiao without fail. He explains that the upcoming fighters are part of the Million Martial Arts Alliance, so these guys are the real deal. Lu isn't convinced and wants to know what they are capable of, so the uncle tells him that the girl has a restriction bracelet which hinders her power, and once she takes it off, everyone within the area will need to flee without a second thought. Her partner, who is known as Stone, is an extremely dangerous man who is well known for his might. All the while, Xiao is extremely exhausted as he makes his way to the next floor. He asks his cube to give a report on the level of his next opponents, but the system is unable to calculate their martial abilities. Nevertheless, Xiao finds the extra motivation to run up the stairs when he thinks about how he is willing to save Shen Yao by risking his life. He finally reaches the door and opens it despite the immense energy coming from the room. He sees a man and a girl waiting for him. His 2 opponents are named Stone and Jalen. The young woman is so excited that Xiao has finally arrived. She removes a measuring device that looks like the temperature sensor from the days of the lockdown virus. When she measures his wavelengths, she is disappointed that it has a value of 0, which means Xiao is actually not a superhuman, but a regular Joe. Stone continues the analysis on his Toasty tablet, and he confirms that the kid has nothing special about him. He isn't a cultivator, nor does he have any systematic fighting skills, and as a matter of fact, his internal power is close to 0. The only thing that he has going for him is that he is fighting using mere physical strength. Jalen identifies him as a body refiner, and she becomes super excited because she believes that Xiao will boost her powers. She soon realizes that she is acting a bit unhinged and apologizes to the kid. She introduces herself to him and stretches her hand for a handshake. I don't know if Xiao lost some fundamental brain cells when he fought Beowulf, because he also extends his hand and introduces himself. She wastes no time and lands a left hook to his face, which almost takes his head off. Oh, he now knows that this lady is a crazy mofo. Xiao believes in equal rights and lefts, so he retaliates with an uppercut that pushes her back slightly. After receiving that punch, she notices that his energy is extremely clean and pure. This psycho Jalen seems to be enjoying the punch and talks about how the purity of his energy is doing things to her body. At this point, Xiao is just freaked out and forces her to let go of him. The woman steps back with a crazy look on her face and then dashes forward to give her that Ip Man combination. But Xiao grabs her head, ordering her to cut it out. However, she tells him to put his heart into it and then kicks him to the floor. Stone alerts the kid that he stands no chance in a fight with Jalen, so the best thing he can do is say his final words before he is sent to the afterlife. After a serious ass beating, Xiao decides to take things seriously. When he punches her and sends her flying, all she can think about is how amazing it feels, but she is still convinced that he is being too gentle and rushes in with a barrage of punches. Xiao blocks them all and lands multiple hits to her face. This Jalen lady just tanks them all and asks for more while Stone stands there looking a bit concerned. It seems like the lady becomes stronger when she is pushed, and she even begins to transform into a monster with sharp teeth and claws. Stone notices this and tells her to relax while warning her not to activate her powers, but she tells him to keep her power's name out of his mouth. She slowly walks toward Xiao with that deranged look and says that she needs to become stronger so that her and Stone can run away where they can be free. As her transformation becomes more monster-like, she increases in power. Jalen leaps towards Xiao and inflicts a nasty injury on his arm, which I would advise that he gets it checked. By the time he has recovered and looks up, the woman is nowhere to be seen. She suddenly appears behind him and grabs him by the arm so that she can taste that natural ketchup. She gets even more excited and wants some more. Xiao sees that he is in a bad situation, so he summons a weapon to help him get the upper hand. But that is no use because Jalen sends him flying into a wall. He has noticed that the lady has become much more stronger and way faster. He increases his speed to try and nullify hers, but it makes no difference because she still speed blitz and sinks her devil teeth into the back of his neck to taste natural ketchup, like she's on Vampire Diaries. Jalen becomes super excited after the taste, which further releases her demonic energy, and she looks more like a monster as she slowly transforms. Stone doesn't like where this is heading, so he flicks a needle into the back of his partner, which stops and reverses the transformation. This is all new to Xiao, so he is shocked out of his mind about what he has just witnessed. He cannot believe a human can physically transform into a monster. I don't know why he is so shocked, because he has a magic cube inside his body and he eats gems to level up. Stone runs over and continues the procedure to stabilize Jalen. He is taken aback that she leveled up with only a taste of Xiao's natural ketchup. Xiao stands there trying to analyze the situation. He knows that he is no match for Jalen, so if Stone also joins the fight, he will be in huge trouble. At this moment in time, he doesn't understand exactly what is going on, but he knows that this is an opening for him to counter while Stone is tending to Jalen. As he makes his way to collect bricks to throw at them, Stone notices his movements and shoots a wind energy blast at Xiao, which pushes him back. The man steps up to fight Xiao and fires another wind attack. When the kid attempts to block it, the cube advises him to dodge it instead, so he is done as told. If it had landed, the impact would have taken Xiao out for sure. Stone is confused on what to do because he cannot engage with the kid while also keeping an eye on Jalen to stop her from transforming. So he tells Xiao to go on ahead and rescue the girl he has come for. The lad is very skeptical and thinks it is a strategy Stone is implementing to launch a sneak attack the moment his guard is down. Xiao wants a more substantial promise for them not to come after him when Jalen recovers, so Stone takes a blood oath using 1,000,000 coin. He tells Xiao that although he will never admit defeat, this oath he is about to take is the strongest promise a cultivator like him can make. He infuses his natural ketchup with the coin and swears that if he breaks this promise to Xiao, then he should be turned into dust. The kid is fascinated by the whole process and even takes out his phone to record the event. Stone completes the procedure and hands Xiao the coin and tells him to go on his way. But the kid gives him some advice and tells him that he should change his ways and stop being a criminal before running upstairs to save Shen Yao. As soon as he leaves, Stone speaks to a lady using a headset and tells her that their training mission has been suspended, so he is going to leave because Jalen had an accident. But before he can fully explain everything, the line somewhat breaks up because the woman has been taken out by a mysterious man who looks very much like Sigu Chin. All the while, Lu is watching Xiao making his way up to him. A man named Mushan, who is part of a group called the Ominous Menaces, informs Lu that all the assassins have been wiped out. The guy cannot believe this is true and orders answers from his uncle, who tells him that the plan is now bust, so they need to make an escape. Lu is panicking and believes this is the doing of Sigu Chin, but Mushan is more interested in Xiao. The uncle reveals to his nephew that the Million Alliance settled a truce with Xiao, and Lu is livid to hear this. He refuses to leave and asks Mushan if he would help complete the plan for triple the money. But Mushan and his puppet are offended by this offer and launch an attack at Lu, but his uncle steps in front and blocks the attack. Mushan warns Lu to never try and order him around using money while making his way down to face Xiao. Meanwhile, Xiao has punched his way through a steel door looking to stand on business and save his girl. He knows that he has 2 more opponents to face, however, the cube informs him that the other person's presence has vanished. While walking through the building, he senses the energy of Mushan, so he turns around to see the guy sitting on a beam with his ventriloquist dummy. The system alerts Xiao that their opponent has a combined fighting power level of only 7. Xiao is thinking there is no way this can be true, so he asks the cube if it is certain of what it is talking about. The system assures him that it is indeed correct, but it has sensed an intermediate gem inside the dummy, which is powering a very complex mechanism. Mushan tells him that although his level is low, he is very efficient, so any deficiency he has is being supplemented by the talismans he possesses. He is a man of techniques rather than pure brute strength, so he wants to know who will win in the battle between the two. He powers up his legs and then kicks Xiao into a wall. The fighting has begun, and Xiao throws 2 bottles as distractions to try and close the gap. However, Mushan is sharp, so he destroys them, which gives him time to counter his opponent with a kick to the stomach. Xiao gets straight on his feet, and the two of them exchange some intense strikes, which destroys the place a little. This is a full-on brawl, and Mushan is enjoying it, and starts to lick his lips looking like Orochimaru. Since Xiao is on the back foot, he plays dirty by kicking dust into the face of Mushan and begins to land strikes. Mushan wants to administrate some eye drops, but Xiao doesn't give him a chance to do so. The fighting is taken up on the beams above, and his eye drop falls to the floor and breaks. However, Mushan is still keeping up with Xiao and is even gaining the upper hand. The dummy joins in and begins to maniacally shoot green energy from its hand. Xiao is hit by a few of them, but he counters some of them and then leg slaps the dummy into the wall. While he is fixated on the dummy, Mushan comes from behind and punches Xiao in the chest as he turns around. Xiao spits up some natural ketchup onto the face of Mushan, and the sicko licks it off his face like a crazy madman. However, his joyous face turns to a look of concern when he sees that Xiao has grabbed a handful of his hair, and for some reason, Mushan cannot budge him off. Xiao charges up his most powerful punch and then hits him, which sends him flying across the room into the wall looking defeated. He notes that if Mushan is a normal human, then he shouldn't be able to recover from such a blow. Xiao Face looks all surprised when he sees that his opponent, who now has a bald spot, has risen like a possessed demon. Xiao wants to know how on earth the guy is still standing, so he explains that he had a defensive talisman which took most of the damage. He acknowledges Xiao's strength, so he decides to go all out, which turns his hair white like he is entering into Deer 5. The guy releases an evil talisman which increases him with absolute power. He uses a technique called Shrink the Distance and immediately appears in front of Xiao. He then punches the lad and speed blitz him like you have never seen before. The lad recovers, but he is still no match as Mushan utilizes his talismans, which almost sends Xiao over the building edge. The dummy begins his barrage of energy bullets, but Xiao runs around to avoid it. He manages to pin the dummy to a pillar. However, Mushan sends him flying into a wall using a string he has attached to the dummy. He walks over to the lad and informs him that he attached some talismans onto his hand while they were fighting. He activates it, and their weight is so heavy that Xiao's hand falls to the floor. Now that he is unable to move, Mushan shoots a talisman that blows up in Xiao's face. The blast can even be seen from outside. Lu is in his room watching the battle, and he is happy with what he is seeing so far as it looks like the fight is over. But when the flames die down, Mushan sees that Xiao somehow deflected the blast with an ordinary shovel. The bad guy is very angry that his attack was blocked using an everyday item. The lad decides to take things seriously, so he charges up his attack and is able to use the distance shrinking technique to immobilize the dummy. He grabs hold of the string attached to Mushan. Mushan soon realizes that he is in trouble when he cannot pull the string. So Xiao pulls him in and begins to punch him repeatedly like that string paddleball game. He then lands the final punch which defeats Mushan. The guy now looks like Luffy after Gear 5. The talismans that were placed on Xiao disappear. The lad is exhausted and is barely able to stand, but he still tries his best to head towards Shen Yao. All the while, Lu's uncle is advising him to escape while they have the chance. But the nephew tells him that that isn't an option because he still has something up his sleeves. He looks at his missing thumb and finger and says that this is not a pointless revenge. And now that he has this opportunity, he refuses to just let it pass by since revenge is now his life goal. We cut back to Xiao, who hears a beeping sound. He turns around to see that Mushan has escaped out of the building, and the dummy is the one making that sound as it is getting ready to explode. But nothing happens when the bomb doesn't detonate. Mushan is confused as to why it didn't work, but in his confusion, Xiao breaks out of the building and attacks the guy who is floating outside using a flotation talisman. The fighting continues, and Mushan is trying his very best to eliminate Xiao with several explosions. But the lad remembers that he cannot die because Shen Yao is waiting for him, so he lands a devastating punch that sends him and Mushan crashing to the floor. Xiao's right hand is extremely damaged as he lies on the floor unconscious. The cube was able to capture within it the dummy which has the intermediate gem. Xiao is woken up by rain when he whispers Shen Yao's name. He looks over at where Mushan would be, but only his clothes remain. The cube tells him that the guy managed to escape. The lad heads back inside the building where he bumps into Huan crying in the corner like a little bitch. Xiao does well to get Shen Yao's location out of him, so he quickly runs towards her. He breaks through the barricade, but the girl is moving around trying to tell him to stop. When he finally enters the room and removes her bondage, she quickly informs him that there is a bomb planted under the chair, and it will explode if she gets up. She tells her man to save himself and run away. And as he tries to remove the explosive, Lu locks the heavy steel door which traps Xiao and his girl inside. The cube tells him that he wouldn't be able to teleport out of there since Mushan put some talisman which has reinforced the room and prevents teleportation. Lu stands outside with a viewing window hoping to see them both explode. He asks the system how to safely defuse it. However, when it doesn't work, Xiao teleports the bomb inside the cube for it to detonate. Shen Yao witnesses all of this and is relieved, so she hugs her man who looks like he has an extreme case of pink eye. He promises to never leave her and tells her that she is now safe. However, when the explosive goes off, it damages the cube's internal which knocks Xiao out. It even destroyed the intermediate gem that was inside the dummy. Shen Yao is panicking, trying to wake Xiao up, and Lu is just vexed because he didn't see body parts flying, so he opens the door and fires 2 gunshots. Xiao can hear everything, but he cannot move and doesn't know what is going on. Lu's uncle comes in and says that they need to leave since Sigu Chen is in the building. Shen Yao collapses onto Xiao, and when he is finally able to move again, he understands the situation when he sees Shen Yao's natural ketchup all over his hand. As he attempts to save his girl by sending her to a hospital, Sigu Chen arrives and teleports the girl into his arms, saying that Xiao wouldn't be able to save her. The lad follows Sigu Chen and sees him floating in the air. He tells Xiao that he knows nothing about this world or superhumans. He then tells the kid not to worry about the girl, because he will resolve this since all which has happened is his fault. When Sigu Chen disappears with Shen Yao, Xiao stands at the top of the building screaming out her name. After that screaming session, Xiao stands over a bridge lamenting on his girl going missing and the cube being unresponsive. Although he is able to use his powers, he cannot upgrade his stats, so he feels like he's too weak to do anything significant for now. He thinks deeply using his 3 brain cells on how he can save Shen Yao, but his hopeless eyes tells me that he doesn't have a single solution. Luckily for him though, a car pulls up next to him and a woman emerges from the vehicle with sunglasses despite the fact that it is raining heavily. She calls out to him, but he ignores her. He only responds when she mentions that she knows the location of Lu, so he follows her to a cafe. The lady orders some hot drinks and then pours the white stuff inside her beverage. Xiao doesn't have time to play about, so he questions her on the whereabouts of Lu. It is clear that she also has her own motives, so before she answers the question, she says that she has been protecting his life in the background. She informs him that the reason why the public aren't aware of the superhumans is because there are organizations that work hard to keep these things a secret. Xiao just scoffs at her statement of protecting him when he tells her that he knows that the men behind him are ready to pull the trigger and eliminate him at any time. The lady and her men prepare to open fire, but Xiao tells them to hold their trigger fingers because if they try anything funny, the whole conversation will turn into a conversation with fists and knuckles. He reiterates that he only wants information about Lu, so she needs to start yapping, otherwise he will leave. The lady orders her men to withdraw, and they do exactly what they are told. The woman was so rude she didn't even introduce herself, but Xiao uses his abilities to read her name tag and finds out that her name is Yuqian, and she is in charge of the task force of the superhuman management. Now that the cat is out of the bag, she admits that she wants a favor for protecting him all this while. According to the woman, newly awakened superhumans are very likely of being eradicated very quickly. However, Xiao calls her out on her lies because he can sense that her men are far weaker than him. Yuqian is clearly not going anywhere with this, so she proposes that for her to give information about Lu, Xiao needs to complete 3 missions for her. Xiao says no problem, but he wants her to do him a favor for each mission, and therefore he would also like information on Sigu Qin. The lady doesn't hesitate and agrees, which shocks Xiao a little. Nevertheless, she hands him the document of the first mission, which is to be a bodyguard for a particular somebody. The lad worries that it will affect his studies, but the lady assures him that this is a one-day mission thing, so he has nothing to worry about. The contract states that he will be paid a Toasty amount of 50,000 Toasty Earth coins. When the kid questions her on if she can be trusted, she tells him that their pleasant conversation should be enough proof, which I think is stupid, but that's none of my business. Whatever. She enlightens him that he will need to pass some tests to even qualify for the job. The meeting comes to an end, and Yuqian leaves with her men. Xiao knows that this is a fat risk, but the boy has no other option if he is to have any chance in rescuing his girl. I guess he's not so stupid after all, since he acknowledges that he doesn't only need power to achieve his goal, but he also needs intel, so his plan is to use the woman to get into the agency. We cut to the woman, who reveals to one of her men that the reason she struck a deal with Xiao is because wealth comes with risk. They usually deal with bad guys, but from her research, Xiao seems like a good kid who is extremely strong, despite him having his powers for only a short time. It seems like Yuqian has been waiting for a moment like this to present itself so that she can take advantage and achieve a particular objective we are yet to find out about. She also says that she has no intentions of sharing any significant information about Lu, since it seems like Xiao is oblivious to everything that is happening. She intends to use him and only share surface-level intel about Lu. Little does she know that Xiao is on top of her car inside his cube listening to all that she is saying, and oh boy is he pissed. He decides to go with it and see how things turn out. So the following day, he follows directions to where the trials for the job of bodyguarding a man named Piao will be held. A lot of people are there for the job, and an announcer alerts them all that they will be tested on 3 merits. They will be tested on their combat abilities, their skill to discern, and how responsive they are. Their first examination is the discernment test. They are all taken into a game room where each of them are given 5 chips. Their objective is to accumulate 10 chips without the use of violence or theft. They have the freedom to choose any game they want to play to get the 10 coins. Not long after it begins, people start to lose their chips, and one man notices that all the games are rigged. So he tries to partner up with Xiao to take advantage of him, but the lad just walks off. The man eventually finds Xiao at a table and challenges him to a competition to guess which cup the coin is under. Xiao puts down all 5 chips, and so does the man. The woman who is in charge of operating the table begins the shuffling, and she's quick with it, but Xiao is locked in and knows that it's in her right hand because of his powers. Those watching him look at him like he's crazy, but the man chooses the cup on the left. The lady shows her right hand, which doesn't have the coin because she switched it to her left without Xiao noticing, so he corrects himself, saying that he meant her left hand. He also tells her to put both her hands on the table so that there is no funny business going on. She does as instructed, and he was correct, so he wins the other guy's chips. The man is furious and thinks that the table is rigged with a hidden door that allows the coin to drop from underneath the cup while she holds a second coin. When he goes to check, she tells him that the table isn't rigged and she only used 1 coin instead of 2, so he lost fairly. Xiao moves on to the next assessment, but the next 2 stages are done off screen, so we do not get to see it. However, Xiao made the cut along with some others who have been selected to be the bodyguards of Mr. Piao. Xiao takes a seat and Mr. Piao is introduced to them, and he looks exactly as you would imagine this type of rich person to look like. Piao looks like he lost every genetic lottery. He has teeth that would put a beaver to shame, and he identifies as fat because he is fat. The man stands in front of the room and congratulates his new recruits on making the cut to be his bodyguards. Looking at the people in front of him, he is very excited in their capabilities and cannot wait for the banquet they are to attend later that evening. Mr. Piao informs them that if they do well, they will receive extra rewards. So with that, the rich beaver leaves their presence, and hands the rest over to his employee to continue. The man tells the bodyguards that the advancement has already been transferred to their accounts, and the remaining 3 million will be transferred after the job is done. Xiao is sitting there and cannot believe his ears. He stands up right away, incredibly shocked that the payment is so much. The man tells him that he should have known this because the lady agent Yukian who gave him the job has already agreed to the price. After hearing this, Xiao knows that she scammed him harder than a Nigerian prince and an Indian scam call center combined because she only offered him 50,000. Later that evening, the bodyguards are briefed on what their objective will be while being driven to the location of the dinner. They are informed that the job will consist of 7 assignments, one of which is the auction. The objective of Mr. Piao is to attain a certain ancient artifact which happens to be a mask. While Xiao is looking through the brief, he sees something that interests him, so he asks the people escorting them what it is. A woman answers and tells him that it is something known as the obsidian essence, which will be one of the priced items at the auction. Hearing this instantly triggers Xiao to recall the cube uttering something to do with obsidian. However, because it was damaged due to the bomb that went off inside of it, the system couldn't say it clearly. They soon arrive at their location, and it is exactly as you would imagine. All you see are the ultra-rich, and you already get a sense of what is to come looking at the setting. The announcer welcomes them to the Rudra banquet. Judging by what he is saying, it seems like this is a regular occurrence. He proclaims that just as always, the first game will begin with a warm-up. The central carpet begins to retract, and he introduces the opening game called the Warrior's Golden Bell. The screen shows what is inside the opening, and it is an extra-large crocodile with a golden bell strapped to its neck. Almost everyone is frightened to know that such a dangerous creature is sitting just below them. The announcer assures them not to be afraid and walks towards the opening. However, he doesn't fall through because there is a reinforced bulletproof glass which is very durable. I wouldn't be surprised if it was fortified using Corning Gorilla Glass 6000. The announcer explains the rules of the game. The warriors are to remove the bell from the beast's neck using any weapons that have been provided for them, and whomever is to achieve this will receive a good stack of gold bars as payment. The only catch is, unless you get the bell, you are not permitted to leave the cage. Xiao soon realizes that this is no bodyguarding job. All this is rich people who have nothing better to do with their money other than entertain themselves with human life. The first warrior makes his way down to the cage with a spear and shield looking like a Spartan. The beast seems to be sleeping. A good idea would have been to sneak up to it and take the bell. But this warrior has clearly emptied his brain of all functioning brain cells and shouts at the top of his lungs to agitate the creature, which wakes it up. The beast opens its eyes and eats the man so swiftly that some of the rich men start laughing. One of the concubines screams in shock in reaction to what she just witnessed, but Mr. Piao isn't taken aback at all and calls the man a weak-ass bitch. However, Xiao sensed the guy's abilities and knows that he wasn't weak at all. He notices that something is strange about the monster. The host announces that the crocodile isn't just an ordinary one. It is a modified concoction created by his biotech company. Everything about that animal is not natural as intended by nature. Instead, all its attributes have been enhanced. Now that a warrior has been eliminated, the prize funds has been increased by 30%. The next guy goes up, and it looks like he has the advantage since he is attacking from long range with spears. He gets a couple of attacks in while skillfully evading, but Crocodile isn't there to take any disrespect and crushes the guy with its tail as his eyeball flies upwards and hits the glass. While that was going on, Xiao is told that as per the contract, if no one volunteers, then someone will be chosen at random and will be forced to enter, which he thinks is completely unfair. He notices a man standing on the balcony overlooking everything and is curious to know who he is. Someone tells the lad not to stare because that man is there to maintain order. Xiao now understands why the man is emanating so much power. As the next round is about to commence, Mr. Piao tells his people that whoever can defeat the monster will receive double the prize money being offered for this challenge, and he is more than willing to do this out of his own pocket. Xiao just cannot understand how humans can be so greedy. One of the fighters from the other rich men volunteers to go next, however. A man named Gold Poison from Mr. Piao's team also comes forward. Now that there are 2 people willing to go, they will need to battle to the death to determine who will fight the creature. Xiao thinks that this is stupid because they will exhaust themselves before facing the crocodile. The man from his team who wears a headband tells Xiao that he clearly doesn't know about Gold Poison because as soon as the fighting begins, Gold goes straight for the attack by biting the shoulder of his opponent. I think he was aiming for the neck and missed, but whatever. He sucks the guy dry to the point of death, and his opponent looks like a zombie. Gold's skill allows him to boost his combat ability by sucking the natural ketchup of his victims. The level of increase to his power is determined by how strong his target is. However, the drawback to this ability is that when the effects fade away, he is unable to withstand the cold or light. The guy enters the cage without any weapons because he thinks fighting unfairly isn't his thing. The man stands face to face with the beast and says that although he is a bloodthirsty, crazy person, he is also an animal activist. We see some golden dust falling from his fist, and as soon as the crocodile attacks, he easily evades it and jumps on its head. Gold poison kisses it on the head, and everyone stands there amazed. And as soon as he leaps from the crocodile, it gets cut in half. He retrieves the bell and says that he showed mercy by making it quick. Now that the first round is over, the next beast is introduced, and it is far more powerful and frightening. It is a monster that combines the strength of bears and the agility of cats. As soon as Xiao sees it, he knows this is bad news. The host is a bit too excited to announce this new creature. He cannot wait to see some heads roll. He announces that the only weakness of the creature is its cruelty. The monster is so unhinged that only will it rip to shreds all that stands in its way, but it will also devour its victim like continental breakfast. As the host was proclaiming all of this, Xiao, with his observant eye, notices that there is someone in the gathering trying to cause big issues. He believes that there is a mole in his group, yet the organizers have missed it. Before the challenge begins, he tells them that the prize fund for this monster is twice the previous one, and it doesn't take long until the first victim, warrior, is sent forward. He stands before the beast while it eats, and as soon as it looks up, the man foolishly screams and swings his sword. However, the monster just leaps over him and attacks the glass in an effort to destroy it. Some of the wealthy bastards are afraid that they will be next on the monster's menu, so they make a run for it. The host assures them not to panic because they have the best security to handle any situation. However, the beast has already eliminated the man inside the cage and has taken his weapon as a tool to aid it break the glass. The host looks into the eyes of the monster and notices that something isn't right, so he starts to panic and orders his security to go deal with the monster. But it is too late as the creature breaks through the glass before the steel shutters are deployed to stop it. It stands there, sword in mouth, looking like Zorro. Meanwhile, Xiao knows that this whole accident was set up by someone. He recalls seeing gold poison sprinkling some dust before facing the crocodile. He now knows that gold did that so that this accident could happen. It seems as though the dust has an effect on this creature. Now that the beast is standing in front of them, the host is extremely afraid. He shits one or two bricks as the monster jumps to end him, but a special guard intercepts and kicks it away while the host runs to safety. While all that chaos is going on, a blue-haired lady from Xiao's team slips away and he doesn't seem to notice. He too sees this as a great opportunity to get what he came for and walks away. One of the special guards tells everyone not to panic and for them to return to their position because they have it under control. The monster is easily defeated with a single punch by another member of the guards who has great strength. When Xiao goes back to his position, it is then that he notices that one person is absent. Meanwhile, at a different location within the building, the woman from his team has begun her move and taken out 2 entry-level guards. She does the typical spy stuff by disenabling the camera and abseiling to get to her location. When she arrives, she puts on a special glove with fingerprints that gives her access to a secure location. And as soon as it opens, there is a man waiting for her. The man deploys his weapons and begins to attack as backup make their way there. Xiao has somehow found himself near their location and is currently hiding in the shadows. Meanwhile, the backup arrives at the lady's location, but since they are fodder, she disarms them easily and continues her fight with the other man. And just when she is about to be struck from behind, Xiao intercepts the finishing blow and saves the woman. He knocks the man out and tells the woman that he got lost while looking for the restroom. She points her sword at him, demanding to know if he is an enemy, but he tells her that he is her bodyguard since she is actually the person who employed him. So she is essentially his boss for this mission. It turns out that Mr. Piao is a decoy, and Xiao figured this out when he saw the position of the bodyguards. He noticed that Mr. Piao was standing in front of the guards while she was being surrounded by them, which indicated to him that she was the one to be protected. He deduces that she is there for a special mission. The lady says that all this doesn't matter anymore because the area has been sealed, and the special guards known as order keepers will arrive shortly to eliminate them. Xiao tells her that they have no choice other than to proceed. When they enter the vault, nothing seems to be there, so she wonders where the treasure has been hidden. Xiao lets her know that he has knowledge on where the treasure is, so he is willing to share the location. All she has to do is tell him how to escape because she came in there knowing how to get out. But before she can agree to the deal, the order keepers announce their arrival with a number of bullets. Xiao and the woman take cover, so the guards decide to throw a flashbang. However, Xiao saw this coming and counters by hitting it with a baseball bat, which returns it to sender and explodes in the faces of the guards. The duo hope that this is enough to buy them time, but as they make a run for it, the keeper who threw the flashbang appears in front of them. They are soon surrounded by 3 B-rank order keepers, and the fighting begins. It doesn't last long when they both get sent flying into a wall by the brute who defeated the wolf beast earlier. As they come close to put an end to the duo, Xiao thinks fast and releases a grenade. The guards cover themselves to brace for the explosion, but when nothing happens, they realize that it is fake. But it is too late because Xiao and his boss escape through a closing door. They find a place to hide for the time being, and to come up with a plan on how to take them on. The lady notes that if Xiao was alone, he would have been able to escape. Xiao utters aloud the reason why he is here, and he mentions Shen Yao's name. It looks like the lady might know who she is because she repeats the name, but Xiao doesn't take notice and tells his boss that the people are on their way. He doesn't wait for the special guards to find him, so he goes to meet them alone. They want to know where his partner in crime is, so he tells them that her weakness was holding him back. One of them takes off to go find her, which leaves only 2 guards. Not long after, Xiao's partner breaks from the ceiling and attacks. Now that it is 2-on-2 and they took them by surprise, Xiao and his boss easily defeats them. The duo quickly skedaddle and make their way into the treasure vault, where the woman identifies what she has come for, which is a scroll. Xiao also sees what he planned to get, so the two take their treasure and begin their escape. They use the elevator to the floor below, which houses the Biogenetic Research Institute belonging to the host, who is named Du Weibang. She tells Xiao that there is a drainage pipe that will ensure their escape. The lad wants to know how she is so knowledgeable, but she doesn't give any comments. We cut back to the 3 guards who were easily deceived by Xiao's plan. As they gather themselves, a man who they address as Lord comes in and tells them to ingest 3 pills. Meanwhile, at the lab floor, a firing squad stands there ready to engage Xiao. They have been given the order to eliminate anyone who comes out of the elevator. However, as soon as it opens, the boss is ready for them, so she unsheathes her sword and blocks every bullet before knocking them all out. The 3 high-level guards try reaching the firing squad, but they get no response, so they frantically make their way over there. Meanwhile, the boss explains the plan to Xiao, so they quickly make their way there before more enemies come. The duo reaches a door which has a pool of natural ketchup in front of it. The lady walks towards it with her special Michael Jackson gloves to gain access, but Xiao is a bit hesitant after seeing all that natural ketchup. They gain access, and Xiao cannot believe that she didn't disclose the full plan and has led them to the lab rather than an escape route. He has no choice but to follow her, given that he's her bodyguard. Xiao sees a number of monsters encased in glass, and he is told that these people do experiments to develop the most powerful biological weapons. Their goal is to make the world a better place by enhancing human beings and strengthening military might. But the lady thinks that what they are doing is pure evil, and they fail to acknowledge the dangers in their crazy scientific experiments. They finally gain access into the lab, and one of the scientists who is expecting the woman informs the professor that his guest is here. He addresses her as Mumu and tries to be pleasant, but she doesn't want any formalities and gets straight to the point, asking where the gene therapy medication she promised her is. He laughs at her statement and reminds her of their deal that he will only hand what she wants over when she gives him the treasure from the vault. Of course, she is reluctant to give him the treasure before confirming if the drug is the real deal. The professor tells her that the 3 super guards they encountered are a result of his experimentation. They were ordinary humans who were brought in at a very young age and experimented on to achieve the level of power they have. His research was only 95% completed. However, funding was halted since Du Weibang felt like this was adequate because he wanted to use the research to create biological weapons for military use. The professor, however, found this to be cliché and saw beyond the aspirations of Du Weibang. His aim is to solve all genetic problems and diseases, so to him, experimenting on humans is only a necessary sacrifice for the greater good. Xiao is in disbelief that he is doing such a disgusting thing. Mumu has had enough of the professor's blabbering and pins him against the glass and demands for the drug that will save her grandfather. He drops the bombshell that he actually doesn't have it at the moment. His plan was to use the treasure to secure funding, which will aid in him completing his research, which will then lead to the drug that can effectively cure all illnesses, including Mumu's grandfather's. Mumu begins to throw hands at his old crusty face out of anger and frustration when he says that he just needs a few more humans to experiment on. She starts kicking him while he's down, which probably takes him back to when he was a kid. And just as Mumu is about to land a strike with her sword, The assistant scientist pulls out a gun and orders her to stop the ass whooping. But Mumu swiftly takes her down and tells her that what they are doing is inhumane. They cannot treat human beings like lab rats. She tells them that she is glad that she hasn't put all her hope in saving her grandfather on their research. While Mumu is giving her lecture, something is happening to Xiao in the background. She orders him to help her release all the monsters so that they can destroy each other. However, when she turns around, he is nowhere to be found. It looks like the stone Xiao fed the cube has brought it back to life. Xiao gets a bit emotional because he is happy to hear the voice of the system once again. The cube informs him that after the reboot, the space has been expanded. He can now teleport 2 times in 1 minute. Not only that, his distance of teleportation has been doubled to 30 meters, along with his microwave vision detection radius. He is also now able to bring in organisms within the cube that are twice his body mass. The final upgrade allows him to apply the gem-enhancing energy to any targets he wants. Meanwhile, Mumu has released the monsters, and they begin to attack the guards who have come to put an end to her and Xiao. One of the super guards manages to fend off the fodder monsters. However, he is destroyed by a bigger one that looks like a dinosaur. It takes out the normal guards, but the 2 remaining super guards manage to defeat it with excellent teamwork. Elsewhere, Mumu is shown trying to make an escape. However, she is cornered by the 2 super guards. The fighting begins, and Mumu is holding up pretty well against the lady. However, she is caught up in an attack which holds her in place, allowing the big man to punch her down to the floor. But before they eliminate her, the lady relays their story of how they were kidnapped by Du Weiban when they were young, and some of them were even made blind deliberately, all in the name of science, so all they have known their whole life is suffering. Mumu doesn't think this is a good excuse for them to also be evil, but the lady tells her she has no idea what life was like. And as the man prepares to throw the final attack, Xiao comes in to save his boss, but Mumu isn't so happy because she almost got beaten to death. The cube informs Xiao that a group of monsters are very fast approaching, so he teleports both him and Mumu to the exit route, which leaves the lady to deal with the monsters by herself since her partner has been knocked out. Mumu wants to know how he teleported, but he tells her he cannot reveal that. As they prepare to escape, the man who gave the super guards the pills interrupts them, saying he isn't going to let them get away. The system warns Xiao that the fighting level of this guy is very high, and Xiao is somewhat worried because he didn't even sense the man approaching. We come to learn that the man is named Laika, and Mumu is surprised to see him turn up in front of them, because according to her intel, he should have been outside the country on an assassination mission. The cube informs Xiao that this guy is far more powerful than him, and the crazy thing is that Laika is concealing his true powers. Xiao is very offended to hear the system say that, and he takes it as an insult. Laika tells them that when he found out intel from their organization was being leaked, he was hoping it will be powerful people, but it turned out to be these 2 useless excuses of a human. He shows a glimpse of his power when he easily crosses to their location in a blink of an eye. Mumu holds her sword terrified, shaking and trembling. Laika stands in front of Xiao, and the cube informs him that the man's combat power is at 350 and is increasing. Even though Laika perceives them as weak, he sees potential in them and offers them to be his new recruit since they defeated his old underlings. The man reaches out his hand to grab Mumu, but Xiao stops him. The fighting then begins when Xiao attacks with his kunai. However, his opponent easily blocks it with his bare forearm. The lad is shocked when he sees Laika's hand transform into a metal axe, so he goes on the offensive. Mumu looks on in disbelief because she thought the nickname of Iron Fist that is attributed to Laika was only a name. Little did she know that it was because of his ability. She joins the fight and attempts to attack the man from the back, but the guy's hand bends unnaturally behind him, allowing him to block the assault. He kicks Xiao away before approaching Mumu for her dirty sneak strike. The lad, however, teleports and returns the kick to Laika's face. It hardly does anything because the old man quickly recovers and spins Xiao like a doll before slamming him into the ground. He then transforms his arm into a sharp weapon to finish off Xiao, but Mumu comes in to save her bodyguard, which gives time for the lad to recover and land a scratch on their opponent's face. The man does a backflip to put distance between them, but he ends up looking uncool when one of his legs slips into the sewerage water. He acknowledges the duo and says that he underestimated them, so he is somewhat impressed. Mumu asks Xiao what their chances of winning are if they team up together to fight him, so Xiao retorts saying that their only way of survival is if they attempt to run away together. Seeing how desperate the situation is, Xiao tells the cube that he wants to use his new skill and transfer some of the gem energy into the kunai. The system informs him that he can only merge 25% of the energy, and the possibility of it not working and rather exploding is 60%. It also alerts him that while this is being done, all his other functions wouldn't be available to him. I think Xiao forgot that he was in a fight because Laika takes advantage of him spacing out and instantly appears before him to land one mean punch to the gut. I'm sure all of Xiao's ancestors felt that one in their graves. Mumu steps in to attack, but she is also dealt with easily. It seems like Laika's power is slowly increasing. Xiao knows they stand no chance, so he tells Mumu to escape, but she tries arguing with him. The lad ends up throwing an explosive towards Laika, which buys them a few seconds to attempt to get away. However, Laika is unharmed by his efforts and quickly catches up to them. Xiao is forced to engage when the old man reaches his hand to grab Mumu. The lad gets his ass whooped again and is thrown against a wall. At this point, Mumu has also been somewhat incapacitated, so that leaves Laika to deal with Xiao. The cube tells Xiao that there is about 1 minute left until the merge is done, so he should try and hang in there. This does, however, warn him to seek urgent medical attention because his bones are fractured and he is at risk of bleeding out. The man approaches the kid and begins to choke him out. He prepares his axe arm to torture Xiao first before ending him. But Mumu recovers and lodges her blade into Laika, allowing Xiao to escape his grasp. And as the lady goes over to help Xiao recover, the cube warns him that Laika wasn't affected by that attack and is going on the offensive. So the lad alerts her to dodge the oncoming attack in time. She then engages in hand-to-hand combat, but the old man ends up disenabling her when he uses some type of energy power to launch her into the stone wall. He makes it clear to her that such attacks are useless against someone like him who has been enhanced thanks to technology and medications. He removes the blade from his back, which he recognizes as a level B artifact. He walks towards her and congratulates her on hurting him. So as a reward for that, he will eliminate her using her own weapon. I personally think that that is more of an insult than a reward. But in that same moment, Xiao is alerted that the merge is complete, and the dagger now has a rare ice ability. The lad is eager to use it, so he summons it. However, the cube tells him that the merging failed, so the weapon will explode in 30 seconds. Xiao, with his quick thinking, rushes over to his opponent and tries to pierce him, but the man blocks with his hand, allowing the kunai to get lodged into it. He then punches Xiao so hard that all his progeny will feel that in the future. Mumu recovers and dashes over to see if her bodyguard is okay, and as Laika pulls the dagger out of his hand, the ice explosion finally happens, which encases him completely in ice. The lad looks on, thinking they have gotten the victory, but his hope is shattered when the system notifies him that the enemy's power is increasing at an exponential pace. He grabs Mumu, and they begin to make a run for it as Laika's power is increasing to over 600, and as a result, the place begins to collapse little by little. The duo finally reach the edge of the drain, which is their way out, so he tells Mumu to quickly escape. The girl is worried about how he's going to make his way out, but he tells her not to worry. He pushes her into the water when Laika finally breaks out of the ice capsule and is running towards them like a madman who is refusing to let them escape. Xiao stands there ready for the impact, but he ends up teleporting on the back of Mumu's oxygen tank in cube form without her even knowing. Laika is pissed that they got away, and he promises to eliminate them both the next time he lays eyes on them. Some time has passed and Xiao is back to normal life. He is in disbelief that he was able to escape that death sentence, and even to this day, he still cannot believe such an event occurred. He ends up meeting up with Mumu, who is offering him to join an organization known as the ATC. She explains that the ATC is a training center for superhumans. It aims to prepare them to join the Superhuman World competition. She wants him to be part of her team, but the boy declines because he has more important things on his mind. Mumu asks him if it is about Shen Yao, and she offers to give him some free intel which piques his interest. She mentions that Sigu Qin was the MVP of the 43rd Superhuman World competition. Xiao wants to know if she has any knowledge on the whereabouts of Sigu Qin, but she says that the guy is extremely good at hiding and is a very powerful man. Mumu advises Xiao that it is impossible for him to find his target alone, so joining the competition will help in getting Shen Yao back in his arms. He accepts to be on her team temporarily, only on the condition that she does everything in her power to help him to find Sigu Qin, and with that, the season comes to an end.